Oh, good morning from John. I just wanted to say thank you for hopping on. I promise I will not take the full hour. I know everybody is working and has lives to get back to, but I'm excited that you're here to talk about the W-2 for 2022. And the goal for me today is just to basically break it down in a way that's a little bit more understandable to give you some confidence so you know what you're looking at when you receive your W-2. And so you understand what the boxes represent as far as your earnings, for 2022. So a lot of people are jumping on. I will just get started. And just so you know, this is being recorded. I will share with you at the end on how to access it if you want to rewatch it. So first thing, yes, I know I look very eager in my photo to talk about W-2s. Sorry, I'm not really that eager, but I promise I will make this painless as possible for all of you. So my name is Sharon Curran. I started at Prestige a few years ago. Originally, I was a payroll specialist, and I have been moved up to payroll analyst. Before this, I was in education. I was a teacher, so I definitely miss teaching. It's kind of sad I can't see your faces. But it is nice to get away from looking at numbers all day to speak with you all, so I'm excited to be here. And just wanted to highlight, we will have a Q&A section towards the end of this, but there is a chat feature. I know some of you have found it already, but feel free to pop questions in there. I'll routinely be looking over. If I miss anybody directly, don't worry, we're recording this. I'm going to track every single question, and if I need to, we'll get back in touch with you directly via email. And like I said, this will be recorded, so I'll share that with you as well at the end. Okay, so what is a W-2? Before we even start on this, I just wanted to, the number one question I'm sure you're all asking is, when is the W-2 released? It has been released. It has been released electronically as of last week, and paper copies were actually mailed out this week. So you will have it before the 31st deadline. I'm going to show you how to access all of this in a few slides from now, so don't worry about how you can find it. But so basically, what is a W-2? Employers use the W-2s to report your FICA taxes, right, for all of their employees. And the IRS also uses the W-2 to track your individual tax obligations. So obviously, it's an important tax form. The W-2 is reflecting all of the income that you earned in a year. And it also reflects all of the taxes, benefits withheld from 2022, which are going to be reported on your income tax returns. It's just putting it all in one convenient spot. It's just a little bit easier to break down that way. And the taxes that are withheld are separated into boxes. Obviously, we're going to go through some of those boxes today, but just in general, they usually break it down where it's federal taxes that are withheld, and then it goes to state, and then it goes to local. And when you see that it says postmarked by January 31st, that just means it needs to be mailed by that date. But we actually are ahead of the game. We've already mailed it out to you, so you will be receiving them if you are opted for a paper copy. Let's start with box one. The gross taxable wages paid, which includes salary, wages, tips, bonuses, and/or commissions. So box one is essentially all of your gross taxable wages that you've earned. And they're the ones that are subject to federal and state taxes. The number one question I get in payroll is, why does this number look different than what I see on my final pay stub? Typically, it's less. And the reason is because the gross wages that you're seeing in box one, that is the number after all pre-tax deductions have been accounted for. Pre-tax deductions are a list of things. We'll get into it a little bit in another slide, but essentially it's your benefits, your 401k contributions. Another example is sometimes mileage reimbursements that perhaps your employer provides for you. But just keep in mind that box one is usually the one that is lower, not boxes 3 and 5, and I will explain that as well. So understanding your W-2 for box 3, this represents your gross taxable wages, which are subject to Social Security tax only. So it's not including tips, and there is actually a cap, so that once you have met that gross wage cap, you no longer get taxed for this. So for 2022, the max cap was $147,000 for the year. So if you have met that wage cap, this box is going to be probably a little bit less than box one. So don't worry if it's lower, it's right. For box 5, it's a little bit different. It may not always match box 3, depending on what you've grossed in the year. So in box 5, this represents wages that are subject to Medicare taxes only, which is also obviously a federal tax. There is no cap, unfortunately. I hate telling people that, but it's true. All of your earnings are subject to Medicare. And in fact, after you reach a certain gross wage amount, there's an additional tax. So if you have specific questions about that number, just reach out to us. I'm going to go over how you can do that. But these W-2s are so incredibly specific to you only, which we'll get into that as well, but just wanted to point that out. Okay, so here's a few more boxes. Box 7 represents, well, you know how in box 3 it was your wages without tips. In box 7, this is representing all the tips that you've received, cash and non-cash only. So theoretically, if you add boxes 3 and 7 together, it should equal box 1. Now, boxes 1 through 7, which we just reviewed, those are representing all of your federal taxes. Now we're going to move over into the state taxes, and that begins with box 16. So box 16 represents wages that are subject to your state income only. Keep in mind, every single state has their own law on taxation, so the rates are going to vary in what is withheld. And obviously, state taxes are in addition to federal. I know it's painful, but that's the truth. Depending on your state, the number may or may not match box 1. And the reason I put this in is we have a lot of employees who are in New York State. Just so you understand, because this question I get all the time, all of the wages for New York State in box 16 have to match the wages in box 1. It does not matter if you lived in New York for a day or if you were in New York for 330 days. The numbers have to match. It's just a requirement per New York State law. Box 18 is a little bit self-explanatory. If you're living somewhere with local wages and tips where you're subject to a local tax, like New York City taxes, for example, Yonkers, etc., this is going to represent all of the gross income that's subject to your local taxes. And obviously that also varies. It goes without saying. Some are higher, some are lower. We can help you to decipher the rate. You can just reach out to us, and I'm going to go over how to do that as well. So just want to remind you, there is a little chat option that you can put your questions in. I'm going to go over some of the most common questions. And if anybody needs me to backtrack, I can always go back to the other slides, but it will be shared at the end. So don't worry if you didn't, I hope you're not sitting there scribbling, taking notes. This will all be accessible to you. So some of the most common questions that we get are as follows. My employer joined Prestige in 2023. Will you guys give me a W-2? I believe we have a few people who have signed up for this webinar who are employed as of 2023 under Prestige. You will not receive a W-2 from us. The W-2s that we give out are specifically for 2022. So it only is reflecting wages earned in that year. And when we say join Prestige, Prestige is a PEO, meaning that your company is obviously under Prestige. We file on your behalf. That is why on your W-2s, you'll see Prestige's information and not your own. So somebody had just asked, does the W-2 come ready to go, or do we need to fill out something? It is ready to go. Actually, I'm glad you asked that because I'm going to go over on the last question, the difference between the W-4 and the W-2. But you don't need to do anything. It'll be just ready. You pass it off to your financial advisor. And that's it. The next most common question is, my employer joined in the middle of last year. Does that mean I'm going to get 2 W-2s? Yes. So anytime you earn wages under Prestige in the year of 2022, it doesn't matter if you're there January 15th or you're there December 21st. If those wages are recorded under us, you're going to receive a separate W-2. So your prior employer should also give you a W-2 for any wages you earned with them for the portion of the year that you were there. And then this is that question that I wanted to point out. Wait, this isn't my W-4. So although they're similar, they're not the same. The W-4 form is the you elect everything for how you want to be withheld. So when you are first hired, or if you make a change to your tax withholding, that's the W-4 form. That's the one where you're filling out your marital status, the number of allowances and dependents, how much tax you want to withhold. A lot of people like to sometimes elect to have an add to withholding. That is all done in your W-4. The W-2 is something that is just basically a record of what you've had as far as your income and what was withheld in 2022. So very different. And just so you know, the W-4 you can update as often as you want. You could do it every payroll if you want. We can help you to change it. The second you save your changes in the portal, it comes through to us that day. So it's not something where you need to fill it out and you need to wait. It's instantaneous. Another question that we get, which is pretty often, what is CAFE 125? I see it written on my form. There's a ton of IRS terms and codes. They're all for pre-tax benefits. CAFE 125 is kind of like an umbrella term for them, but it's basically explaining or breaking down the 401k, your health insurance, FSAs. There is a list of codes. It goes all throughout the alphabet, so it's obviously way too extensive for me to review with you all today. But if you have a question on your W-2 and you want to, kind of understand what it is, you can reach out to us. Again, I'll let you know how to do that in a second. And I also, it's not on here, but I just wanted to address that. Another very common question that we get is, what if you're living in one state and working in another? Obviously, since COVID, a lot of people are working remotely. This is a more common theme than ever before. Theoretically, you are taxed based on both where you work and where you live. So you would want to see both states represented on your W-2. However, it is incredibly individual. There's many different ways for someone to be recorded as working in one state and living in another. For example, there is a difference between remote work and telecommuting. So obviously this is something that is specific to you. If you have any questions on this when you get your W-2, you can reach out to your specialist team. We will break it down for you. Another question is, yes, I'm sorry, John, I'm reading your question. Pre-tax benefits reduce your federal, state, and local, but not your full income is subject to Social Security. I'm not sure I'm understanding your question fully, but in box 1, that's where you're going to see the reduced wages due to pre-tax benefits. It is, your full income is subject to Social Security and Medicare, correct? And then, so the next question on here is, where can I access my W-2? Like I said, electronically it is available online. I'm going to show you how to access that in a moment. And also all of them have been mailed, so you should get them in the mail this week. But let me point out something really quick. If you had opted for electronic only, you will only receive it as an electronic copy, meaning you will not get a paper copy in the mail. If you're not sure if you did this, you can log into the self-service portal. Essentially, once you log in, you're going to click on the taxes on the left and then W-2, and at the top, the image that you're seeing on your screen is what you will see. So for example, I have it where I'm electronically opted in. So it says you have signed up for an electronic W-2. That means the only way I'm going to get it is via the portal. If you did not opt for electronic, doesn't matter. You can also access it on the portal, but you're automatically going to receive a paper copy in the mail. So I just wanted to point that out. Here's what it looks like when you log into the portal. As I said before, in the left menu, you click on taxes and then W-2, and then you literally just click where it says select one, and you can select 2022, download it, print it, done. We also have the PrestigeGo mobile app. This is how I got my W-2. It was super, super fast. When you're logged into your app, you're going to literally go to download W-2s, which is in the middle picture. And then you just select the year you need. You can download it, forward it to your email, forward it to your tax representative. It's super quick and easy. And I did have a question from Katharina. No problem. She's asking if this will be recorded. It will be recorded, and don't worry, you're not going to miss anything crucial. I'm going to show you how to access this online, just so that you can review it at any time that you need. Also, the slide presentation that you're seeing will be available as well. And before I go to conclusion, I just wanted to highlight a really common suggestion that we recommend to everybody in the payroll department. We always recommend you reach out to your financial advisor to make sure you're filing correctly. They're the best person who are going to advise, yes, you should be filing as married, single, whatever it is. These are the number of allowances. They might recommend you do an add to withholding. They're the best people to give you guidance on that. We can assist you always, of course, updating your tax forms in the portal. Again, as often as you need it, it can be done. So I just wanted to point that out. You're welcome. So I know that this was a crash course. I'm going to open it up to a few more questions if anybody has any. But just to give you a brief overview, you can access us at any time. That's one of the most beautiful things about being with Prestige. You have assigned people who are ready to help you whenever you need. So when you log on to the portal, you'll see your team's information there. If you have any questions as far as your W-2, it doesn't look right, or you're not sure what something means, you're having issues downloading it off the portal, you can reach out to your specialist. We can help you to decipher your W-2 a little bit better. And I know that this was a really brief overview of the W-2. I know that there are questions coming in. Due to the time and how many people are logged on, I don't want to keep everybody much longer, so I'm going to address your questions directly. And financial advisor or tax advisor, someone had asked, who do you recommend? I have a tax advisor, but obviously everybody has, whatever it works best for you. So if we did not get your question directly, of course, we're going to reach out to you. We're here for you. We're here to help you, whatever you need. And I just wanted to show you how to access this webinar. And I also wanted to show you how, where the slide will be as well. So if you go to prestigepeo.com/webinars, you'll have access to this slideshow and to this at any time for the year. So if anything, I just really hope that I helped to break down this W-2 a little bit more. It's not as daunting as you would think. Everything is laid out for your tax advisor so that when you file your state income tax, they can determine if you need to have an audit or if you're going to get a reimbursement, which is what we all hope for. But at the end of the day, I just really hope that you trust Prestige to answer any questions you might have regarding your W-2. So it was really, really lovely to speak with all of you today. I'm going to be doing another one tomorrow in case anybody needs, but this will be available at that website, which I will just put up one more time for you. So thank you everyone for joining. You're welcome, John. And we will be in touch directly for any questions we may have missed. Thanks, guys.